There's launch control in the Corvette E-Ray. We are out at Pikes Peak International Raceway, and first time ever getting to drive the Corvette E-Ray on the track. Yesterday we were driving it on the road, seeing what the first ever all-wheel drive, the first ever electrified Corvette is like. But today we're going to explore the potential on the track, and then tomorrow we're going to be on the track, a different track this time, Spring Mountain, in the Corvette Z06. And we're going to do a essentially back-to-back comparison, not on the same track, but we're going to see how the E-Ray stacks up with the Z06. So for launch control, we're in PTM, we're in the Z mode configured, come to a stop, you've got the little performance page showed up, you got to see the green all the way, foot all the way down, give it the gas, and let go and go! Ha ha! That is some impressive off-the-line traction. That all-wheel drive launches completely unlike the Z06. The Z06 and the Stingray are actually really good for a rear-wheel drive platform, mid-engine layout. They really optimize the traction, but adding an electric motor up front and the stupendous torque that this powertrain combination puts out, 655 horsepower, equivalent of 595 pound-feet of torque between the LT2 and the electric motor up front. So we're going to Charge Plus mode.
Okay, now we're going to take off to the Roval.
And we are heading out on the Roval here at PPIR. First time out here on the track, sighting lap, so we'll go through a couple more of the specs. The E-Ray is the first ever electrified Corvette. I mentioned first ever all-wheel drive Corvette. A more well-rounded all-season version of the new Corvette C8 generation, which obviously went mid-engine. In terms of pure power output, 655 is close to the Z06, but as we've experienced on the track, and we will again shortly, the Z06 is very, very much a race car for the road. I've already driven the E-Ray a good amount yesterday, and I can tell you it feels much more well-rounded, grand touring all year round, but it still has that capability. The ones we were driving yesterday on the road, some canyon roads, some highways, some not so great tarmac, some wet roads, were on all-season tires. These are on the optional Summers, the PS4S, but you're not going to get Cup 2Rs like you do with the Z07 pack. E-Ray obviously will weigh a bit more with the battery pack, the electric motors, or electric motor single. There's one up front, but what you're going to get is a stupendous amount of grip, which I think we're going to experience. Carbon ceramic brakes are standard on the E-Ray, whereas they are an option on the Z06. You will not get the crazy carbon fiber aero pack with the Z07. You still get MagRide 4.0. So we're in Charge Plus mode right now, which prioritizes the regen of the battery pack to give you that boost. So we're going through a couple of those laps. It's also really cool, the difference in personality in terms of the sound. You have that V8 rumble in the background that you can hear, and then up front, you've got the electric motor adding this whole other like alien spaceship noise. Gradually working my way up to comfort with this car here. It definitely feels a bit heavier and more numb compared to the Z06. And you don't have that shrieking V8 behind you, which dominates the entire Z06 experience. We have the same tremendously wide tires, 275s up front, 345s out back, as the Corvette Z06. You can hear the tires scrabbling for grip up front as that front end is like clawing itself in. That's a lot of lateral grip too. I feel like this car requires a different style of driving than the Z06. So we turn off Charge Plus. This is now maximum discharge mode, which doesn't prioritize keeping state of charge anymore. It simply focuses on max power from that electric motor and that very, very small battery. This car definitely feels heftier, but the performance levels and grip are still really dang impressive. Those carbon ceramic brakes, absolutely perfect. We're on a cool down lap now. So some thoughts on the Corvette E-Ray, initial impressions. It definitely carries much more weight, between 200 to 300 pounds more. It's a small battery pack though, so again, electric range was not the focus. It was really just to be able to regen some power and then disperse it to the front axle. All-wheel drive changes the feel of this car too. I personally have always preferred rear-wheel drive cars, especially mid or rear engine. Like I don't love tracking R8s or Huracans. I prefer a GT3 or like something like a Ferrari 488, that type of car, and obviously my Z06. The E-Ray, the showpiece is that straight line acceleration and the ability to be well-rounded, but it is still plenty track capable. Definitely beyond my personal limits. I am not a race car driver, but I feel that it definitely is pretty confidence inspiring, has high limits, and electrification has not diminished the performance at all. It has absolutely enhanced it, way more capable than the regular Corvette Stingray, and the feel of that torque and the sound of that electric motor pulling it is definitely really unique. So now we are on the track in a Corvette Z06. After getting the track, the Corvette E-Ray, we are on a completely different track. We're no longer in Colorado. That was Pikes Peak International Raceway. We are now outside of Las Vegas at Spring Mountain. But the Z06, this is where this car belongs. This is where this car shines. On the track. Immediately, you'll obviously notice a difference in sound. The flat plane crank V8 is utterly, utterly intoxicating in this car. Just the exhaust sound. The LT2 cannot quite attempt to compete. Also immediately feel that the car is much lighter. I prefer rear-wheel drive layout. Well, all-wheel drive, you can have the grip to dig you out, but just my personal, maybe it's my driving style, my preference, I get much more comfortable here. I wasn't super comfortable in the E-Ray, actually. Got better with a little bit of coaching, but just listen to that! Doesn't have the torque of the E-Ray. The E-Ray would have just pulled and gone. You had to get up into the rev range in this car. Hard on the brakes. Woohoo! Lead off here. Through turn one. But also, none of the C8 generation Corvettes have the best of steering. Like a Porsche GT car, whether GT3, GT4 RS, is definitely going to be better in that regard. This is also such a cool track. I mean, Spring Mountain has like 8 different track configurations or something else like that. Still learning the lines here, but something about being in the Z06 just makes me much more comfortable. I think in the hands of a very capable driver, the Z06 will definitely be a faster car around a track. You just can't get away from that weight, and especially a car like this. This is the Z07, and if it was running the Cup 2R tires, I mean, that would make a massive difference. E-Ray is capable on track, but that's not what it's designed for. This car feels at home here on the track. The E-Ray felt more at home on the canyon roads, trying all sorts of different terrain situations, road surface. I love the Z06. These carbon ceramic brakes that both cars share are also just ridiculously good. Bleed off the brake here, coast, 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 coast. And we go. Little mini straight there. Brake into this bowl. You can feel the G-forces load up here. I don't think I'm taking the S's properly. My racing line is just catastrophic. It's also very hard to drive and try to sound intelligent. I'm not the world's most experienced race driver, so try to formulate sentences while drive. I can see my lap time, it was just slower, right? 2.2 seconds slower. But in terms of impressions, I love this car. So you can't get the Z07 larger aero pack on the E-Ray, and that really speaks to the personality. Now this car is running PS4S right now here at Ron Fellows, just because it's a more well-rounded tire and more usable. It lasts longer on track than a Cup 2 for Spring Mountain here, for them to be running these cars so much. So we are on identical spec rubber. I would be really interested to see what the E-Ray's electric front motor coupled to this flat plane crank V8 would be like. We know there's going to be higher performance versions of the C8 coming beyond the Z06. It'll definitely feel heavier and more numb, which is, I think, my complaint with the E-Ray on track. But will the performance gains make up for it? Driven some stupendously fast cars, and if they don't give you the fizz, the emotion, that's not what I'm looking for. SF90 is an example I always bring up. It is so quick, so capable, but I get out of it feeling nothing. You just get out of it, I'm like, okay, cool. What's next? Whereas I drive like a GT3 RS, GT3, GT4 RS, the rear-wheel drive Ferraris. I'm like, which kidney do I sell to get one of these? Same thing with my Z06. Fortunately, I didn't have to sell a kidney to buy one of these because it's a much more friendly price point. Same thing for the E-Ray. So, yeah, track comparison, there is no comparison to the Z06. E-Ray's party trick is launch control, 0 to 60 quarter mile, and just all your usability. That torque is stupendous. Z06's party trick is just racing monster. That flat plane edge screech from that LT6. The way it performs on track. Two different personalities. I love the Z06. That's my pick. Something else that I think I forgot to mention in an actual E-Ray review is they're going to make the carbon fiber wheels an available option too on that car. So again, just to lower the weight, although for a car that's, again, not as intended on the track, I think it was really just to hit that weight target, less of absolute unsprung weight for track performance. So this is a pretty special opportunity to get to compare these two on the track. I know it's not a exact back-to-back. I mean, it's different days, different tracks, completely different states, obviously, but the fact that it's so fresh on my mind that I was just in the E-Ray yesterday on track, and now today getting to drive a Z06 on the track. I think you guys know my feelings that I absolutely love this car, that engine, the performance, the capabilities, are way beyond my levels, and I'm learning that more here. That's why I'm here at Ron Fellows for the Z06 Owner School, getting to learn and experience it, and hopefully get quicker and quicker, more comfortable with the car. It's likely that I'm also more familiar with this car. It's also likely I prefer rear-wheel drive platforms. NA. Is the E-Ray tremendously capable? Absolutely. But I just don't think it feels at home on the track. Just a bit more weight, a little more understeery feeling. I'm going for the Z06. Make sure you guys also check out the full driving review of the E-Ray I did, and of course all the Z06 videos I have. Thanks for watching.